Hello, I'm Mike Mollfelder. I'm responsible for the North America sales operation at Jitterbit. Who's Jitterbit? We're a world leader in iPaaS, or integration platform as a service. We provide the infrastructure that makes your e-commerce work by connecting systems to move the necessary data to the front office and back office systems to ensure your customer and employee interactions are seamless. Welcome to our on-demand webinar. I've been in the integration space since 2007 and in B2B sales for over 30 years. I'm also a consumer. For the next few minutes, we'll discuss the trends, challenges, and opportunities that my company and I see in the e-commerce world. So let me start off with this story. I'm your ideal customer, and I'm your ideal customer because I have money and I'm not afraid to spend it. My shopping habits would be considered sporadic, meaning I pretty much buy what I need when I need it. And my expectations are that you'll make it easy on me to buy or return goods. So I'm also a cyclist. And a few years ago, actually about 6 years ago, it was time for me to buy a new bike. So I stopped on the way home from work at a high-end bike store, walked in, person behind the counter asked if they could help me. I told them what I was looking for, and they sent me upstairs to look at bikes, which, by the way, having a second story in a bike shop is also kind of interesting, but we'll set that aside. I get to the top of the stairs and there's a gentleman on the phone. He waves me off. I walk around, I look at some bikes. Bear in mind, these aren't $200 bikes, and they're also not $12,000 bikes, but they're expensive bikes. I walk around and nobody talks to me. And after about 10 minutes, I walk back up to the front of the store. He's still on the phone. He waves me off again. Walked around a little bit more and still nobody talked to me. So I went downstairs. And as I started to leave the store, the person behind the counter asked if I got help. And I said, no, he didn't want to talk to me. He was too busy on the phone. That person didn't try to stop me, so I just walked out the door, got in my truck, and I drove 45 minutes north to another store that I had bought bikes from before. And they were more than happy to help me. In fact, they even stayed after hours. They fitted me to a bike. They didn't think that they had the bike that I wanted, but turns out they called me the next day and said, yeah, we found the bike, but I had to go back and make a second trip to the store. So it was kind of a difficult process, but here's the thing. It didn't engender any loyalty. They didn't follow up afterwards to see if I was happy with the bike. They didn't give me any discounts for service. They didn't follow up a few years later and see if it was time for me to trade in and get another bike. So when the time did come for me to buy another bike, not to replace that one, but a different bike, because most people who have bikes don't own just one, I went online and I bought a bike. It was easy. I bought it from a reseller. It was done online. Again, no loyalty. It was just what was the easiest thing to do. And then earlier this year, I had an accident on my bike. That also happens. I had to get a new helmet. I didn't go to a store. I went on Amazon. I compared a couple of helmets real quickly, click, ship, and had a helmet sent to my house. What could be easier? So there's no loyalty. It was all about speed, convenience, and price from my desk chair. Now, this can be food, it can be clothing, it can be houses, it can be software, it can be office furniture, industrial lubricants. It can be anything, and it is virtually everything, and it's all of us, whether B2C or B2B consumers. So what happened? The Amazon effect happened. And the pandemic. And our buying expectations and service expectations shifted, and they shifted faster than any business leaders expected. Now, what's the Amazon effect? The Amazon effect came about 8 years ago, right? Where we as consumers started to get a little bit spoiled, right? We want to see products that are relevant. We want to get help, and we want help easily. We want support. Omni-channel, by the way, so whether it's phone or email or chat or in a store itself, we want you to know us a little bit, right? So that we're incentivized to buy based on our preferences and to be proactive, and we want to be notified of our shipments, right? Want to know we want information, product updates, things like that. So when we go to Amazon, and Amazon knows your buying history, they store your credit card information. They have your shipping addresses. You go into the search bar and it works. So the Amazon effect was, if I can get it that easily on Amazon, why can't I get it that easily from another website? Or worse, if I go to a store? And that effect that was in the B2C world crept over into the B2B world. And then it got accelerated by the pandemic. So now the consumer shopping habit and buying habit and expectations is now the same or similar in a B2B world. Now, the data supports that the changes are permanent and still early stage. We don't need to look any further than our own business success or not in the businesses that we are buying from to see who gets it and who doesn't. So 20% of the e-commerce will account for 20% of global retail sales by the end of this year. And that's up from only 10% 5 years ago. Almost 2/3 of consumers now say that they shop differently due to COVID-19. And 20% of the shoppers are more likely to buy from retailers that offer omni-channel fulfillment than those who don't. There's an expectation that soon omni-channel itself will go away, and it will just be blurred into a single channel, but that channel is anything and everything. How fast does this happen? Well, about 5 years ago, I was with a group of sales folks that work for the largest cloud company in the world. You can probably figure out who that is. And that was the automotive sales team. And we were at an event, and one of the folks was talking about a car he had just bought, brand new Cadillac. And he was talking about his buying experience. And I listened, and it sounded very much like the same buying experience for a car that we've had for the last 20 years or more. And it was not a great experience. He wasn't bragging about it. And after he was done, I said, well, gee, why are we still buying cars that way? Why not just be able to go online and buy a car? I mean, the cost of the car is pretty much the same from dealer to dealer. We know what it's going to be, and the value of your trade-in is known. That information is online as well. So why wouldn't we just go online, buy the car that we want, get a trade-in, have them bring you the car to your house? You can drive it for 5 or 7 days, and if you're happy, the deal is done. And they thought I was crazy. They said, that will never happen. We'll never buy cars online. And here we are 5 years later, buying cars online and houses and everything else. That's how quickly this happened. So how are we as business leaders challenged today? And what are some of the key areas to impact? Well, first, there's competition. Competition is no longer known or local. Customers are fluid, meaning loyalty has been diminished, if not completely eradicated. And in many industries, it's just due to ease of finding and purchasing competitive products. We have disparate systems within our own organization, which impacts our ability to recognize customers when they engage, or to market to prospective and existing customers to ensure complete order accuracy. And finally, the root cause of many of our challenges are simply outdated processes, bad data, or data that is just not made available to the customer-facing individuals who need it to be effective. So let's drill into this a little bit. So if you're not aware, roughly 2/3 of consumers say that they won't shop with a brand after one prior bad experience. So from a competitive standpoint, while technology has made it easy to become a seller or a reseller, there are more channels now than ever to choose from beyond the traditional brick and mortar. There's online, there's mobile applications, in-store pickup, marketplace, social media, live streams, kiosks. And you need to be able to keep up with the rise in competition and channels as people's shopping habits change. There's the rise of the new ma and pa retail, right? These are marketplaces such as Poshmark, The RealReal, StockX, Etsy, that enable low barriers of entry for sellers and resellers. And it's now easier than ever to build an online storefront and sell goods. Consumers can get niche products from resellers and one-off ad hoc sellers with the same experience as an established online store. In fact, when we were doing the research for this presentation, we found resellers at places like Poshmark and RealReal that have tens to hundreds of thousands of followers, selling hundreds to thousands of items on these sites. So these are people with virtually no overhead, no storefront, taking advantage of the reseller's site and name, and advertising, which is great. But the loyalty isn't even to the marketplace. The loyalty is to that individual. We found one person, Hunter, with over 100,000 followers, selling multiple brands, by the way. So the loyalty wasn't even to the brands that Hunter was selling, but to Hunter, because they knew that Hunter had the product that was interesting to them, that fit their lifestyle. And those rising advertising costs can't be ignored. Facebook, for example, already cost 47% more than the year before. And meanwhile, the advertising across Facebook and Instagram has become less effective than before due to things like the Apple security update. Social's still relevant. Consumers are glued to their devices, so it's important to meet them where they are. And you need to stay relevant. So the ability to offer products everywhere. And in order to do that, sellers need an integrated omni-channel strategy to be successful. And what matters now is the total customer experience. So customers no longer buy just based on one factor alone, such as price, as I talked about at the beginning of the presentation. They buy because of a multitude of things, like what the brand stands for in the overall customer experience. That includes navigating the website, the checkout experience, and delivery. It can include customer loyalty rewards and customer service. And to sum it up, the increase in shopping channels, competition, rising ad costs, all make consumer acquisition costs higher. That makes customer retention all the more crucial. And to retain your customers, you need to ensure a great customer experience. So focusing on improving customer retention strategies now is more important than ever. You need to use technology so you can focus on your customers, use automation, eliminate the data silos, centralize your data, be able to compete even against businesses that often have no storefront. You want to be able to offer flexibility in the ordering process with options such as split orders, pre-orders, in-store pickup, maybe even based on customer status. Integrate your systems to be able to ensure timeliness, excellent customer experience, customer notifications, and personalization. This is your differentiator. Connecting systems, automating systems, helping customers by their channel of choice, that personalization. Enable the automation you need to compete by connecting the systems, which means connecting with your customers. And by connecting these systems and applications, these systems can work the way they're supposed to work. You can be proactive, not reactive. You can leverage automation and hyper automation, get better faster, enable better processes and do that faster, get better information faster, optimize workflows, eliminate manual processes and bottlenecks, personalize your interactions, get rid of the bad data. So what will hyper automation look like in the future? Well, it's time to start to prepare for it, because it's happening very quickly. And 70% of retailers right now say that automation is critical for their success. So this is my vision. We're already seeing some brick and mortar become mini malls by offering concession space within their stores to consume part of the footprint. And that also brings in more and varied buyers to their store and to enhance the shopping experience. Looking forward, having a 50,000 square foot store will be more difficult to rationalize. Buying massive amounts of inventory that you hope arrives on time and can be sold versus having to be liquidated, that will diminish in favor of more of a sample inventory that will enable a customer to buy online from the store. So if it's critical, urgent, need it right away, hopefully the item is in stock in your size or of your particular need. Otherwise, you'll scan a QR code with your phone. Instead of reading a shelf tag, select your payment method, ship to your home, or leave the store. Or try an item on at home using a virtual mirror. Have it shipped and return it if you don't like it. It's still a lower cost option than brick and mortar and having to staff those stores. That's my prediction. And all indicators are that this is where retail is headed. The ones who connect systems and get these processes right will win. The ones who fight the change will simply go away. Car dealers will become fulfillment and service versus sales and service. Real estate agents similarly will become buying assistants. Manufacturers will manufacture, distributors will distribute, and there'll be technical handshakes to track each process end to end and be visible to the buyer on their device of choice. And at first, this will all seem very strange and different, and then it won't be at all. And we'll wonder why it took us so long to get here. So why does it matter? Well, because the entire buying landscape has changed. Last year, I was speaking with a CIO of a 100-year-old company. They had generational buyers, is the term that he used, and they were looking to Jitterbit to enable new processes. Well, what happened? They started to hear from customers who've been buying from them, in some cases for 40 years. They were second generation buying. And they were saying things like, well, I like Mike. I'll go to lunch with him anytime. However, I have a new supplier in Ohio that can get me product in 2 days for less money. And when I call your company and talk to Betty, who I love, she can't answer any questions about my order. She doesn't even know where it is or when I'll get it. So decades of hard-earned loyalty disappeared overnight in favor of convenience, price, and useful buyer data. They knew they needed to automate and improve their processes to survive. So as we wrap up, let me suggest a homework assignment, or for those of us who didn't do really well with doing homework, a mini research project. If you haven't done this ever or done it in a while, buy something from your company anonymously. Buy the same or similar product from one of your competitors. Return the item. Who does it better? Who would you rather buy from again? Your customers will feel the same way. Thank you.